He was the boy I carried in my arms the day he was born, the boy whose first word was, "Mama," the boy I swore I would protect. But the night I found that hidden crawlspace door behind the bookshelf in his house, the one that opened straight into the room of my 9-year-old grandchildren, I understood a truth that still burns in my chest. Sometimes the danger we fear from strangers is nothing compared to the danger growing inside our own home. And that night, these trembling 78-year-old hands did what no one else would. Good evening, my dear listeners. My name is Marjorie Anne Calder, and though I was born in a quiet farming town outside Roanoke, Virginia, I live today in a very different place, a senior correctional facility tucked beside the red dirt cliffs of Santa Rosa, New Mexico. The women here call me Miss Marjorie. The staff treat me kindly, though with caution. They say I'm the calmest elder they've ever supervised, as if calm is something you earn by surviving enough storms. Before I continue, if this beginning has reached your heart, please click the subscribe button and stay with me through this story. You might help someone who needs these words more than you know. From the window beside my bed, I can see a stretch of desert that glows gold every morning. The sun rises slow here, patient, like it understands old bones need time to wake. Sometimes, far in the distance, I see families hiking along the ridge, tiny silhouettes moving together, and my heart squeezes with memory of my grandchildren. I'll tell you how a gray-haired grandmother with shaky hands ended up behind these locked doors. I'll tell you how the child I raised grew into a man I barely recognized. And I'll tell you how a simple wooden panel, loose in a bookshelf, revealed a nightmare unfolding under my own roof. I was born in a cabin with peeling blue paint and floors that creaked no matter how softly you stepped. My father worked the cotton fields, a quiet man who smelled of earth and sweat. My mother was a seamstress who stitched dresses for half the town, humming old hymns while her fingers danced across fabric. We were 4 children, my brothers Eli and James, my sister Martha, and me, the youngest. We didn't have much. The roof leaked every spring, and the stove smoked no matter how much Pa tinkered with it. But there was sweetness in that life. We ran barefoot through pasture grass tall enough to hide in. We made dolls out of scrap cloth. We listened to the radio every Sunday evening, the one luxury my father allowed himself. School was 3 miles away. I walked it every day with Martha, our lunches wrapped in wax paper, our shoes dusty by sunrise. It was my teacher, Miss Hartwell, who first told me I had a talent for storytelling. I didn't believe her then. I was just a girl who loved to listen, to voices, to silence, to the way wind moved through pine trees. At 17, life changed fast. My mother fell ill, and I left school to help at home. By 18, she was gone. My father, hollowed out by grief, rarely spoke anymore. It was during that time I met Leon, a young mechanic from town. He had a crooked smile and a gentle voice, and at first I mistook gentleness for goodness. We married within a year. Our son, Caleb, was born in 1968, a dark-haired, bright-eyed boy who clung to me with all his tiny strength. For a few years, Leon stayed kind. But work was scarce, and he began drinking. With drink came anger. With anger came shouting. He never laid a hand on Caleb, and for that I was grateful, but the fear in my boy's eyes every time his father raised his voice lit something fierce inside me. When Caleb was 5, I left. I packed 2 changes of clothes and a jar of coins I had saved over months, and we boarded a bus to Richmond. I thought I had saved him. I thought I had broken the cycle. I found work cleaning motel rooms and later as a kitchen assistant in a retirement home. Caleb grew, bright, clever, but with a temper that flickered like a summer storm. By 13 he'd been suspended twice. At 15 he was caught breaking into a neighbor's shed. I tried everything. Counseling, tutors, long nights of conversation, but something in him stayed clenched and impenetrable. When he turned 18, he left home angry, telling me I smothered him. 4 years, we barely spoke. Then, in his mid-20s, something softened. He called me one evening, voice steadier than I remembered. He'd met a woman, he said. Her name was Elena, a nurse from Albuquerque. They married 6 months later. I traveled to the ceremony, a small church with paper lanterns and wildflowers. Caleb looked healed. Or so I believed. When their twin daughters were born, Rosie and June, sweet and lively as sunbeams, I felt the world finally lifting its heavy hand from our lives. I moved to New Mexico the following year to be closer to them. My days became full of babysitting, baking, and the joyful chaos of toddlers. I had never been happier. But happiness has a way of blinding us. We see what we hope is true, not what is. Elena was the first to fade. She became quiet, thinner, tired beyond what newborns could cause. She brushed off my questions with brittle smiles. Work stress, she'd say. Just work. I wanted to believe her. God help me, I wanted to believe her. In 2003, she died in what police called a tragic household accident. I won't linger on that. I can't. But I will say this, Elena was careful, steady, and gentle. What happened to her never sat right in my heart. After her funeral, Caleb withdrew from everyone but his daughters. He left his job at the auto shop and worked from home repairing equipment. The twins became quiet too. Rosie began wetting the bed again. June flinched at sudden noises. I told myself they were grieving. I prayed that was all. Years passed. The girls turned 8, then 9. They thrived in school, made friends, played soccer. But at home they grew tense around their father, especially at night. I began sleeping on their living room sofa twice a week under the excuse of helping with school mornings. I thought Caleb was just overwhelmed, lonely, lost after Elena. But the night I heard whispers behind the bookshelf in the twins' room, everything changed. It was a faint sound, soft shuffling, a stifled voice, something brushing against wood. The girls were asleep beside me on their bunk bed. The house was dark except for the hallway nightlight. The whisper came again.
I stood, heart thudding, and approached the bookshelf. I noticed one shelf sagged unevenly, just slightly. I pulled it, and the entire unit shifted. Behind it was a narrow door, small enough that a child would never find it and an adult might overlook it. I opened it. Inside was a crawlspace, dark, dusty, smelling of old insulation, running directly behind the girls' bedroom wall. And from the far end, I heard Caleb's voice. Low. Urgent. The kind of voice a child obeys because they are afraid not to. I didn't need to see anything more. I knew. I knew what I had missed for far too long. I shut the door quietly and stood shaking in the darkness of that small room. I had failed my daughter-in-law. I had failed my granddaughters. Not again. Not again. I waited until Caleb fell asleep in his room. Waited until his breathing settled into a heavy rhythm. Then I walked to the kitchen, opened the drawer where he kept tools, and took the only thing my old hands could trust, a heavy wrench, cold and solid. I won't describe the rest. I won't glorify it or explain it away. I will only say this: I stopped him. And in stopping him, I saved Rosie and June. Afterward, I called the police myself. I didn't lie. I didn't hide. I showed them the crawlspace. I told them what I had heard, what I feared, what I believed had happened long before that night. Investigators later confirmed a pattern of behavior I had prayed, foolishly, wasn't real. The courts showed leniency because of my age, the forensic evidence, and the risk to the girls. But leniency still comes with handcuffs. And so here I am. Rosie and June live with Elena's sister now, a strong, steady woman who loves them fiercely. The girls visit me often. They are healing, blooming, laughing again. They bring drawings, school essays, stories about friends. They hug me tight every time they leave. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still hear whispers. Not from crawlspaces or shadows. From memory, echoing the moments I should have acted sooner. But when morning comes and I see the desert glowing gold, I remember why I'm still here, to tell the story so someone else might find courage sooner than I did. My dear ones who have stayed with me through this long confession, hear me. If you're afraid in your own home, if you've seen signs that don't sit right in your heart, speak. Silence feeds the darkness. You deserve safety. Your children deserve safety. Your instincts are not foolish. Find help. Today. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Today. And before you go, do one small thing for this old woman who has told you everything she carries. Click the subscribe button and leave the word light in the comments. Your subscription might push this story towards someone who is sitting right now in the quiet of their fear, waiting for a sign that it's time to act. May your walls be strong. May your nights be peaceful. And may no hidden door in your life ever conceal harm.